gentlemen, welcome to episode 158 of PD's Awesome Guest Panel. Now, before we introduce tonight's legendary, iconic name, I would like to introduce tonight's co-host for this in the evening. First off, we got from the land from down under, Miss Jessie Devine.
Hi.
So good to see you again, Jess, and I love that positive optimism you always bring to the table.
Thank you. Me too. And it's great to see you all again as well.
Also join us.
He's super positive.
Yes. And by the way, Rob, we're going to introduce you next. Representing Morphin Time Fitness, Mr. Rob Dunnan.
Hey, everybody. Good to be here as always.
Good to see you too, sir. And of course, last but absolutely not least, the man who is my second right hand in command, and that is Mr. Kwame Jacobs.
Yo's good, guys.
So good to see you again, Kwame.
Yep. Thanks.
Now, in the past, we've had many Power Ranger stars on the show, and in particular, we've had Alien Rangers cast members. And as far as the children goes, we've had Julia Jordan, we've had Michael Gatto, and now joining us today, we have Power Ranger icon. She is the star of Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers and young Tanya Sloan herself, Miss Lasean Davis. Miss Lasean, how are you today? Welcome.
Thank you, guys. I need you to come with me to work like every day, Petey, and do that introduction. That was amazing.
I'll be glad to be your hype man.
Absolutely. Hi, everybody.
It is so good to see you, Miss Davis.
You too.
We have like a couple of questions we want to ask you too, and we're gonna start with the typical cliche question too, and that is,
Okay.
how and when did you get your first big break and or start into acting as a whole? Take us there.
Well, it depends on what you call a big break. I will say, I did a commercial, a commercial or two, and they weren't national commercials, but that was my first gig, outside of getting when I completed this acting school thing. That was a fluke between my mom and I. We just went out looking for something to do one day. This acting agency called us. My great grandmother wanted to pay the money for me to go to acting school to have an actress in the family. And I think it was a 12-week program at the time. And once you complete it, you did a showcase, and a panel of agents just kind of selected you. So I had a few to choose from. We settled with a wonderful agency at the time, Herbie Grimes. And of the jobs I landed, this second or third, this was Power Rangers was the first big gig outside of a commercial that I had gotten at the time. And so that's really what it was. They sent me out on an audition. They said, you may or may not be into it, but let's give it a go. Got a call back, and next thing you know, I met Nakia, and they said, we think we're gonna go with you. And here we are 30 plus years later. Isn't that amazing?
Day a legend was born, and all I hear in my head is the song "This Is How Legends Are Made" when I think of your name. Because in 1995, a legend was made in Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers, and that was Miss LaShawn Davis.
Oh, Petey, yeah, I'm paying you. You're underpaid, grossly underpaid, really.
You're one of a kind, Miss Davis. And we have more questions related to Power Rangers too. Kwam, your first question for Miss Davis.
Okay. Wait. Oh, there we go. Okay. Do you have any memories of your audition on My Morphin Alien Rangers and your reaction from getting the role to play as the kid version of Tanya?
Woo! Auditioning. That's a great question. Let's go with the next question. I don't recall really what was the audition like. My mom and I were traveling doing these auditions, and we had such low expectations. I'm so sorry. So when you land the job, it's like everything else before it is a blur. It's just unbelievable that it happened. So I really don't remember what the audition was like. If there's anything vague that comes to mind, I don't even remember where we auditioned, but just sitting at a table running over some lines. Quite quick, nothing fancy, nothing glamorous. They record you, they say they'll call you back, and that's that. That's all I can remember, nothing specific that stood out. even to indicate that they were going to call me back, right? So yeah, the audition is kind of blurry for me there.
Mm.
I do want to say
Okay.
too, before Robbie asks his question though, that how you were very important for the season, like for the series as a whole, because Tanya was a catalyst for the change from the transition from Mighty Morphin to Zeo. So that's
Yeah,
why people don't understand how much Tanya Sloan is a very significant person in Power Rangers history, because it led to the transition from Aisha's yellow powers and then from Tanya's powers. So I just want to point out the importance on how Tanya Sloan was for Power Rangers history.
I appreciate that. And the more I do these conventions, the more that is even pointed out to me. I didn't think of it so much, as a fan during that time. You're just going with the progression of the franchise. They're transitioning into something else, but really the passing of the torch was so different in comparison to just another um artist or another actor coming and going. Like, Karen was going out, Nakia was coming in, but it wasn't just Karen going out, so she's getting replaced, because at that time, Karen had a mini too. Cicely was right in there. So it was a couple of transitions, actually a few, because like you mentioned, Zio. So that was just a really special time in the franchise history that I don't think I paid much attention to when we were filming it. But there's more appreciation definitely now over time.
Of course. Robbie, your first question for Miss Davis.
Yeah, just to finish that off, I'm just going to say Zeo is my favorite season. So,
Oh,
love Zeo.
yeah.
Me too.
Okay, respect. I love Nakia, so I can't in good conscience say anything different. But everything leading up to her, hey, we wouldn't know about Power Rangers without it, right? So
Absolutely, and I'm very happy. I'm very happy that we had Nakia on the show in the past, and I'm just very happy to know that I had both Tanyas now. I can now say
oh,
I had both Tanya Sloans on the show.
how cool
Classic and
is that? I
modern.
mean,
Was
you
that?
nailed it. You nailed it, Petey.
Thank you. And we also had Julia Jordan and Kat Sutherland, so I'm just very happy that we had the two Cats and Tanyas.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I was there. I interviewed both cats as well, but I wasn't there for when Nakia was here because I didn't know Peter did this shows.
Yeah, this was when I first started Quam Quam.
Yeah, I know. I've seen your old videos.
Yeah. Robbie, sorry about that. Your question?
No worries. Can you describe a typical day for you on set and how you prepared for filming?
Woo. Now you guys, you have to give me a break, right? Because I was 12 at the time. So these answers are not equivalent, I don't believe, to 20 and 30-year-old adults that are really serious in this thing. Not saying that kids can't be, but with me, I know my mom and I just leaving the house really early in the morning to get on set, to check in. And then at the time, I believe we were given a roll sheet when we arrived to let us know, like when hair and makeup was, um, when certain scenes were going to film, just kind of that, where we do that when there was downtime because we were in school at the time. So when there was downtime, I was back in a trailer, doing some homework packets that had been sent home from my school for me. And then you just kind of follow the schedule until it's a wrap for that day, and you'll repeat the same thing for the duration of the project. I'm trying to remember how long we did that, like how many days I filmed. I want to say maybe 3 or 4. I want to say not final answer, but final answer, Rob. So that was a typical day. One of the first days, or the first day that I remember, I was sharing with somebody recently in Atlanta. They were talking about the 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 nod to Africa and what the transition between finding Nakia in Africa and then her becoming big was or meant to what was going on with the season or the shows at that time. So when I came on set, my mom and I that weekend made sure to get my hair done. And typically for Black women, getting their hair done is straightened, right? So we got my hair pressed out like that weekend because I was ready for my first day at work, right? And we came in and they looked at me like, what did you do to your hair? Like, what are we gonna do with this? So long story short, they would have preferred that I come maybe with my hair just blow dried or in some braids. So it would have looked more ethnic, right? Or
Yeah.
more let me stick with ethnic as the word of choice, right, Jesse?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they were visibly disappointed. And there was a meeting with like, what are we gonna do? Um, do we wet it? Do we revert? Like, what do we do? Because no girls in Africa are running around with pressed hair. I
I mean,
guess
they
that's what
definitely
they.
overthought that whole thing because, I mean, me as just a little kid watching that show, I was like, wow, this like she looks like a young African girl. Like,
Wow.
that stuff like that is gonna fly over a child's head. No one's gonna give it even a thought. They were definitely overthinking that, in my opinion.
Well, I appreciate it. We just needed you there on set 30 years ago, Rob. That's what the problem with this conversation is, right? We needed you.
What can you
Yeah.
do?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, man.
But clearly they ignored it. They were like, we're just gonna go with it. And I think that shifted for Nakia too, because they probably wouldn't have pressed her hair to match me when she blew up in the command center, right? But that's just kind of what we had gone with me and the pressed hair. So that was a little fun fact for you guys. But that was the top of the morning, hair and makeup for a typical day
So
before I
you
got in
legitimately
costume.
created the look for Tanya Sloan.
Right?
You
By
created it.
accident.
Innovator.
And you know what? I'm gonna take that too,
Yes.
Rob. Petey and Rob, we're on a roll here. You
Yes, we.
guys are just filling me up with turning the negatives into positives, right?
Oh, you rule, Miss Davis.
Appreciate you guys.
Absolutely.
I have to ask because we know this is, I mean, factual. Like, Kat Sutherland and Nakia Burris are very good friends. Are you very close with Julia Jordan, who played young Kat? Like how adult Kat and Tanya were very close in real life. Are you and Julia very close?
So I wouldn't say very close.
Okay.
And only because, well, let me not say only because, but proximity. The way the episodes were filmed, remember I was only on two,
Yes.
right?
Hog Days after dark.
And all the rest of them uh got to do several episodes together over a few weeks. So they just knew each other or were more acquainted, right? I met everybody that was it the first day or the second day? I don't remember when we taped the command center episode. But even at that time, that was my first and only time meeting Michael Gatto, right? And once we did that scene, we kind of went to our neutral corners. So I talked to Jules the most when we were on um right before Orlando. Kat and Nakia had us on their podcast on the same day. And so after that, we exchanged
I think I remember
numbers.
that.
We kept in touch. Even now, she's doing her thing. I believe she's back in the Philippines. Sweetheart. So I do believe that we could
This
have
lady.
been close. We could have been close friends, but we just didn't have that connection back then because we didn't spend the time filming. We weren't there together.
Due to schedule conflict, like schedule conflicting, right?
Well, no, due to I only had those couple of episodes, whereas they had filmed their episodes before Nakia was even being introduced.
I see.
So they were just kind of done recording, and then Cicely and I had these last two episodes that they were fusing together before Zio began, and the new season. So it was just the way they wrote it. Young Nakia was really never supposed to be with the other kids. So I kind of missed out, on being with the other kids, but was technically another kid. Uh,
I see.
yeah.
Mr. Vine, your first question for the legendary Miss Davis.
Okay. So which one? The
Fourth.
first pick or the
First one. Your first one.
Oh, okay. Any fun behind the scene stories while you can share while filming Alien Rangers?
Fun behind the scenes. I don't know how fun I would say. And again, it's because of what my scenes were. Like when Michael and I talk, they were able to go to parks where they filmed, and it's all these kids together. A lot of what I did was either kind of by myself or just with Cicely. So when we weren't recording, we were kind of in our separate little trailers doing our own thing, whether that was school or just kind of relaxing. So I'll say the most fun I actually had was at craft service. Don't judge me, but food is great. And it's like, it was a great buffet whenever you were on set because everybody had to eat from it. So being able to frequent that that table and not be judged, right? And not have to pay for whatever I wanted to eat like throughout the whole day. Hey, that's my idea of fun, guys. I'm sorry if it's not glamorous,
No,
but
That's okay.
that's awesome. In fact, you actually answered one of my questions because I was gonna ask you what was the catering
Yep.
scene like on Mighty Morphin and Alien Rangers because I'm a huge foodie.
oh, absolutely. What did we have? A variety of things. Sometimes it was just mini sandwiches, but a variety of mini sandwiches, little salads, fruits, drinks, you know. It wasn't like just boxes of pizza or things like that. I don't even recall having pizza, and it could have been where we were filming. So, like, just the location. We were out in the middle of nowhere, the desert areas of Valencia. So, wherever they pre ordered or went and picked up stuff or had it delivered, it was just, it had to be taking into consideration where we were, the location, like in the middle of nowhere all day. So,
I
Must have
remember.
been must have been scorching over there.
So I appreciate that. Can we talk about the elements? Because I'm not your outdoors chick. All right. We're not going camping. We probably won't go glamping. And to be in that little African dress, um, in the middle of the heat during the day, because in the desert areas it's really hot in the day and the temperature drops to like Antarctica at night. Okay, so I'm exaggerating a little,
Oh,
but it's way colder than it needs to be for a little girl in a dress.
Yeah.
damn.
Period.
I'm right.
So, yes,
Jesus.
the elements were there, the bugs were there. Um, I can recall having some bug bites on my legs. You know that if you ever listen to behind the scenes things about actors who go to certain places and they're on location, whenever you see the finished product, either in the movies or on TV, sometimes those people go through a lot to put something together that producers and directors can work together a finished product. But the elements, so real, so real. I have bug bites to prove it. And I think that if I were to add another fun fact, I, I don't think I was difficult to work with, but I was not prepared for the elements. So we did a few takes one night, and whatever day that was, it was night, and it was so cold. And I was like, "Can I just have a jacket? Can I put on some sleeves under this?" And they were like, "No, just do it again." And it was hard, maybe even harder as a kid, to focus on getting it at the level they wanted it, dealing with those elements. Like I was freezing. I didn't have on a yellow
What is it
suit.
again?
I had on a dress
God, what
with
you're wearing
no
right here,
sleeves.
right?
Right. I was
Wow.
it I struggled with that. I struggled with that for sure.
I do want to say one positive thing that did come out of those scenes, though. I was rewatching the episodes that you did, and the dialogue that you had with young Karen, though, and I remember thinking to myself when I was 5 years old, though, I was thinking to myself, we could all use a friend like young Tanya.
Yeah.
Because you were just so
Mhm.
cool, you were just so nice, like you were just so positive, uplifted. I say all the time to Jess, like love her positive optimism, and I think of that episode. I think Miss Davis gave all the positive optimism in that episode.
I appreciate that, Petey. Even now, I think it's so comparable. Oftentimes acting people are rewarded for getting into a character that is totally opposite from them. But as this Power Ranger legacy lives on, I can appreciate that that little girl had a lot of warm characteristics that I would like to think I still have. So that's pretty awesome to have been paired for her and bring that to life.
I want to continue on with what we're talking about right here, but I'm going to do it through a question that Kwame here is going to ask because Kwame here
Okay.
asks this question to every single Power Ranger star that we have on the show, and you are absolutely no exception to the rule. Now, I wanted to ask this question personally
Okay.
because I'm a huge fan of yours, but I believe in sharing is caring. So, Kwame, ask this question.
How does it feel to be a legend?
There is.
I mean, I don't even know how to answer that. I think you guys are like extra. I don't see myself as a legend. I see myself a part of something legendary. Absolutely. And I take full ownership of that now, 3 conventions later. It has been one of the prime experiences of my life. The fans, I would like to think of you guys more as family rather than just the typical fan, right? And especially to see you guys at event after event, the love connection stays strong. So I'm gonna forever struggle to identify as a legend, but I'd rather be known as being a part of something exceptionally legendary, with a bunch of legends that happen to participate in the event as well.
I want to add on to that too with another question to piggyback onto Kwame's question too. It's like, what do you think of the impact that the Power Ranger franchise has caused on both old and new generation of fans 32 years after its debut in 1993?
Um, in Atlanta, the last panel, one of the last panels that we did, which was the MMPR cast, I was able to participate in that, which was a great experience. And there was a question along those lines, and I can recall answering something like 30 years ago. I don't think anyone expected that 30 years later, Power Rangers would still have an impact. Um, and if it had an impact, not this impact. A lot of those actors and stars, a lot of the real legends, if you will, are are making, good money being able to attend conventions and just spend time with people because the love for the franchise is still so strong 30 years later. But again, I don't think anybody really thought that it would still be relevant 30 years later. Um, yeah, that wasn't even that wasn't even a thing for me. I will say when I was in college, one of my close friends, shout out to Chuck, he when he found out through the grapevine that I had done some TV stuff and it was Power Rangers, and he went digging me up back then. And I told him he better not say anything, I don't want any kind of attention or stuff like that. He was so into it. He was like, people are still doing things like this. You should say something, do something. So anyway, that was about 20 years ago, right? And so he was one of the first people that I reached out to when Brandon Banfield had reached out to me about getting connected with these conventions. And I really was in shock initially. Like, no way. First of all, you guys are scamming me. Nothing's going on with this, and no one cares. And then you're trying to say someone cares about me. Like, young Tanya, where is she? Okay. Y'all gonna play me. Y'all gonna play me. And then look at where we are now, Petey. We're doing podcasts, man. So it wasn't a joke. It wasn't a scam. Power Rangers is still alive and going strong. And it's a beautiful legacy to be a part of, for
Absolutely.
sure.
And I remember seeing you at PMCC last year, and I thought it was so freaking cool seeing you. I was actually, you saw how excitement in my face, and like I said it before, like a Morphicon is like Woodstock. It's like 3 days of nothing but love and Power Rangers, peace, love, and Power Rangers.
Absolutely.
Um,
Really want to go.
we got
Really want to go there.
you will one day, Quam Quam. I'm definitely going next year. I'm already booked my flight for that one. Will you be attending next year's PMCC, Miss Davis?
Let me tell you, I plan to attend as many of these as I can, whether or not I'm a guest, just because I love it, just like you guys do. I just didn't
Ranger
know too
Stop
much about it.
Orlando.
Next stop, Orlando. Hey,
Uh,
I would love to
I'll
go back.
see you there.
I'm putting the dates on my calendar. I'd love to be a part.
You,
So
you hear
hopefully
that,
I will,
everyone?
Rob.
You hear that, everyone? Please get Miss Davis to these conventions, please.
Oh, you guys are so
Oh,
sweet.
yeah,
You know,
sure.
We got a couple more questions before we wrap up here.
Okay.
Robbie, your next question for Miss Davis.
hey, hang on one second.
Not a problem.
Do you have any fun memories working with certain cast members, and have you stayed in touch with those cast members throughout the years?
Working memories is tough again because it was really just Cicely and I. I can't even when Jules and Michael when we were in the command center to do that one scene, we literally met up in the command center. Unless Michael remembers something different, you can ask him. Aren't you guys having him on tomorrow?
Yes, yes.
Unless
Well,
he,
Peter is. I'm not going to be able to make it. I kind of want to see him again, but it's already been organized.
well, whenever he's able to make it again, or you guys talk to him, ask him if he remembers
Okay.
anything that we did in the command center. Because I really just think they assembled us in there to shoot that scene. We said a couple of lines, we jumped up in the air, and they were like, it's a wrap. And then we went back to corner. Like that was it. It was almost like there was a no contact order in effect because we really didn't socialize that day. So Cicely was very cool and warm back then. So we were able to chat and just kind of hang out when we weren't shooting a scene together. But I had not seen or spoken to Cicely until Orlando. In 20, was that 23?
I think it was.
20,
In 23.
I think yeah, it was 20. It was
Yeah,
2023.
yeah.
Yeah, it was
So it was
2023.
it was
Yes.
really
Yeah.
good
Okay.
to see her. And we were partnered at the same table, was pretty much the same table. So just spending some time with her and her family, that was really good. Almost like a family reunion, Orlando was, because we really had not seen or talked to each other. Now, Michael lives out here with me in Southern Cal. And because he was my extension to really say, you should try this, you'll like the convention stuff. Um, he and I keep in touch probably the most now. I refer to his kids as my nieces and nephew, so
Oh, that's great.
he's great. Um, he's great and he's got a beautiful wife. So we just were able to form a genuine connection, but that was leading up to Orlando for sure, not any time in between. And then Jules subsequently after that, she didn't know where her job or career would take her. So she's relocated, out of the country, which was a great job opportunity for her, but we definitely wouldn't be able to see her as often as a result. So Mike and I, though. Oh, Mike and Ike. Although I'm not Ike, but anyway.
It's been a long time since I had Mike and Ike's in a while.
I feel like having that and Good and Plenty.
Mike and Sean's. We got to do a box for Mike and Sean's.
Yes. Book it. I wrote it down in my notes too to make sure for tomorrow's episode to mention any memories of shooting the command center with Michael Gatto.
For sure. I'm curious what he'll say.
Of course. Miss Divine, your next question for the legendary Miss Davis.
Okay. Right. What was it like seeing the command center set in person?
Now that was amazing. That was epic. Because it was a real place, although realistically not as glamorous as it comes through on TV. But it's like the heart of Power Rangers. Zordon's in there. It was just a throwback moment. I wish they would have recorded us doing like a wow when we walk in, kind of like behind the scenes footage of what we felt when we first walked in there. But all I can say is it was pretty much just a wow moment. And aha, we got here, we made it,
Well, at the command center though, like if I was there, I would be like, I so want to touch these buttons. Like when you were there, were you like, I so want to press these buttons, see what they do?
So again, Petey, I'm treading lightly. I mentioned that when things come through on TV, they are not necessarily as glamorous in person.
Right.
So
You think?
Is the word facade a perfect word to use? Facade? Or no?
It's not it was staged. It was equipment that was built, but the angles, which is the artistry of TV, right? Make it seem like those buttons are really hooked up to something electronic, as opposed to just manufactured plastic buttons that have flashing lights, right? So if you were to press them, which I actually didn't, nothing would happen. But set in the scene, when you're communicating with the Rangers at their location and Zordon is talking, you would think that equipment there is actually going to do something. So since it just very much was not operational or functional like that, it was more aesthetic, the look of it, right? There's nothing to it in there, but still, this is the making of Power Rangers. This is what we're rushing home to see every day after school. So real or not, this is where the magic is happening, and we're standing inside. And that was, I think, the heartbeat of the takeaway for any of us, really. Well, I know it was for me. I can only imagine that it would be similar for them since we were kids at the time.
Fair enough. And I was just curious to know, like, do you know like how they did the magic and the illusion of how they did the teleporting scene, like how you teleported from Angel Grove to like the command center, like how they did that illusion?
All graphics. So you would have to get with that that technical team
Oh, okay.
that's working on the computer graphics. We would do things like, filming has progressed and audiovisual technology in such a way as it should have in 30 years. But you can see little elements of us, like when we're in the command center and we kind of jump, as the earthquake, and part of that was us maybe bending our knees as we were told, so that when whatever graphic they used to create the illusion of us just kind of going up through thin air, our body had some kind of movement to be ready for them to do that. But that's about the extent of what we did. And then we would see the finished product of that when it aired on TV. So, okay, I remember bending there. And then all of a sudden, I'm in the command center type thing.
It takes different steps and process to create one scene.
Absolutely. Multiple. Especially with the audiovisual team.
Got it.
They were probably the the heartbeat, either the heartbeat or the bloodline, depending on how you want to view what was happening with how the show was made at the time. It definitely relied heavily on the stunt people and the audio visual team to bring that to life.
Oh, okay. Um, Kwam Kwam, your next question for Miss Davis.
Okay. Hang on. Where was it?
I think it was your
I
final question.
agree. I agree.
It was your final question, Kwam Kwam. Like, look on the last question you have on the format.
Yeah, I'm looking right now.
I think it was number 10. No, not 10. It was 9. 9.
Number 9?
Yeah.
Okay, right. What important teachings or lessons did you take with you during your time on Alien Rangers?
That acting is not a walk in the park, as some people will see. And those who really want to make a living at it need to be disciplined, organized, and take it very seriously. Also, the quality of gigs really depends on the type of budget that production is working with, you know. But hopefully, whether big budget, whether small budget, you're surrounded by just caring and kind people that enjoy what they do, which is also the magic of the MMPR legacy coming together at the conventions. Because when you have the variety of people that are involved or went involved, set designers, um, artists, into making it, bringing it to life, everybody is just quality and overall good people. And what a legacy to be a part of. It's not just one actor, it's all of them. You know, if you go down the list, I think by and large, nobody is walking away from these conventions saying, oh, well, the pink and yellow ranger are cool, but the black and the red ranger, well, they could be. No, it's been an ongoing community, even from each spinoff, you know, from Zio, Dino. You have all these actors that have come together to kind of keep Power Rangers going and morphing over time. And they're just really all quality people. So how great is that? How great is that? Like
That,
for real, for real.
that is
Awesome.
Yeah.
damn great. Damn, that's
Oh yeah.
fine news.
Speaking
And
facts, man.
Absolutely.
Miss Davis, I gotta say, we've had you on the show. You know, we had you on the show, and I could say right now that you represent, you know, a positivity, and you're just so cool, and you represent like this aura of just coolness. With that being said, any words of advice you would want to give to the viewers watching right now?
Just keep, just try your best to keep going. I think for, at least for fans that I meet, people are sacrificing and saving up all year long sometimes to make it to these conventions. You may not be able to stay at the hotel. Um, so you're staying wherever you can just to get in the doors to see people like me. Um, you might have had a bad week at school. You might have had a bad week at work. There could be family dynamics going on that have got your mind all over the place, your heart broken. Well, one, we're human just like you. So oftentimes we show up to these events and there are things going on in our life. So guess what? Um, we can relate, we can understand, and you're not alone. Also, as much as you're able to, keep coming, because you are why we're able to come. You are why we do it, and why we love to do it. Our community, you know, we are family, you know, and there's pride in family. Um, except for that horrible person that took advantage of Kat. Never
Oh,
forget
F
it.
that guy.
Never over it. Never over it. Never it's not okay. And that's not a staple of something that we do, right?
Yeah, that
Um
was horrible. That was horrible.
Wait,
Absolutely
you're talking
horrible.
about that?
we don't want him to overshadow the family that we've built over the years, from state to state, wherever these conventions happen. We're a special group of people, and we support each other. We're able to keep doing them because you guys keep coming to see us. And what a blessing that it is. So we see you, we appreciate you. Keep going, stay encouraged. If there are extreme life things going on, reach out for help as you may need it. We reach out for help when we need it. We are not all sufficient people, and we don't have it all together. Um, but we can keep going. You know, I believe in God, so he's the main reason that I'm able to keep going. So wherever you pull your source of strength from, just try not to give up when this crazy life tries to take us down. That would be my word of encouragement to everyone.
Beautifully well said, Miss Davis.
Great words of wisdom.
Very poetic, in my opinion.
Yeah, I
Oh,
agree. And that guy you
guys.
mentioned,
Absolutely.
who is he?
Let me tell you, No Name Jones. I think they might have identified a name for him because they had a picture. I don't remember his name right off, but
Okay.
it really broke my heart. But it would break my heart
It's horrible.
if it
It was
happened to
horrible.
anyone. But we have such a sweet group of people, and anyone who's talked or met Kat knows she's one of the sweetest ever, ever, ever.
Oh yeah.
So like,
She's a
even if it
doll.
was
She's
gonna
an
happen,
absolute doll.
you don't want it to happen to Catherine.
No, never.
So
Hmm.
I just really felt a way about that. But that's not our brand. And we know that these fans, our fans, the ones that we're really talking to, aren't that guy either. But I just put that tag in there to say that our family, our community is not represented by acts like that. So especially if acts like that happen in our personal lives, don't let one person be a distraction and say, life is over. Like, don't keep going because one person steps in and attempts to spoil the bunch. Our lives are so much bigger and more important than that. So we got to figure out how to keep going. Like Kat did. Kat still showed up the rest of that weekend like nothing happened. We would
Yeah, she
never know.
trooped it out.
Strong
Yeah,
woman.
she
She
trooped it out.
absolutely
She was
did.
good.
Strong
She
woman.
absolutely did. So
We're gonna conclude very soon though. Before we do, we just have our final comments from our co-hosts before I say my piece. We're
okay.
gonna start off, ladies first. Miss Devine, your final comment for Miss Davis.
Lovely meeting another friend of Petey's, a friend of ours. Miss
Thank
Davis,
you, Jazz.
you're welcome.
Likewise.
Kwame, your final comment for Miss Davis.
Yeah, it was an honor to actually interview you.
Really? Now, is that on your script, Kwame, or like, do you mean that from your heart?
I'm being serious. It's not scripted, man.
Oh,
I'm serious.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Don't
Robbie,
worry.
Robbie, I know you have a lot to say, my man. So your final comments for Miss Davis.
Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on. I believe I was at all three cons that you were at and met you 3 times, and you were awesome after each one. And we even spent a little time together at
I
the end
know,
of
in
Ranger Stop
Atlanta.
Atlanta. We
Mm-hmm.
chatted for a little bit. We
We
had a nice
did.
chat. I really appreciated that, and yeah, I hope to see you at Orlando and other future cons because you're always just so nice. You're just straight up. You're just a gem. You're a gem.
National
Flat out.
treasure.
I appreciate
National
that, love.
national treasure. Yes.
I
Um,
appreciate it.
Miss Davis, before I say my final piece, I get one final question for you, and that is, what's next for Lasean Davis? Now, this is a part, Miss Davis, where we could say anything you want, promote, hype. You could say anything you want. I am passing the proverbial microphone on to you. The floor is yours, Miss Davis.
What is next for me, Petey? I don't know. Do you guys know what I do for a living?
No.
No, not really.
I
What do you
am
do?
I mentioned it briefly on the panel in Atlanta, but I am a children's social worker. And anyone in social work, or I would even say education, it takes a lot out of you to work with kids or families that have experienced trauma and to help them And so I've been doing that now for 8 years, and it takes everything. So some things are up in the air, Petey, in terms of, am I going to pivot and figure out a different career path? I think I'm a social worker at heart. Like, it's just in me to give and to care. But personally, professionally, that's what I'm currently doing. I'll have to give you an update when I see y'all in the streets somewhere as to if I'm still doing that at that moment or in the foreseeable future. With any extracurricular stuff, we'll have to see. I look at myself as more of a behind the scenes person, even though some people think my personality is good for being in front of the camera. Well, just because you're comfortable in front of the camera doesn't always mean you like it, or that's your first choice. So I'll see if I get into anything dealing with like voiceover work or behind the scenes stuff, just kind of talking and using my voice in that niche in the near future. And just kind of helping my family on a personal on a personal note, rather. A lot of our gyms, which are our parents. I have older parents. My father passed a few years ago, and so that's been different and a major adjustment, even in my processing. Life is different. And so anyone that's lost anyone significant to them, especially if it has been a parent,
Yeah.
that's something that the books don't prepare you for, Jesse. There's no speech that prepares you for how to function healthy after that. So I've
Yeah.
still been in my adjustment phase of that. It'll be 3 full years in October, and I'm still figuring out. And that's okay. That's okay. So my mom is older too, and we're having different conversations to make sure we're prepared so that things don't catch you off guard. The more prepared you are, the less hurtful they tend to be, even though the pain is there regardless. But the more prepared you are, at least minimizes the headaches. Um, so I'm doing things like that with my family just to try and make sure that we're as best prepared as we can be for life, right? Because it happens whether or not we're expected, whether or not we're expecting it to happen. As long as we're waking up, life just keeps going. So we just got to figure it out, and we got to find a way to keep going. That's it. That's going to be my rolling speech to you guys and to myself in the mirror. Reminder, when you see me, figure out how to keep going. You know, we hide behind a lot of smiles sometimes. I'm sure you guys do too. But we all just got to figure out how to keep going.
That was very inspirational, Miss Davis. And I gotta say too, like
Absolutely.
you know what? I'm gonna put more respect on your name than I already do already, though. And I want to say your
I don't
profession.
even know if that's possible, Petey. It cannot be possible. It cannot be possible.
I will say this, but I respect the fact that what you do for a profession because I myself am a teacher assistant for special needs children, and this is actually I'm clocking in my 10th
Sweetie.
year in the field, so I could totally wholeheartedly sympathize with your profession, and I know how rewarding the system can be.
Absolutely.
And I will say one last thing before we wrap up here too, and this is the I'm gonna call the praise of the night, and that is you have this incredible gift, Miss Davis, that you could take a 30-year-old fan like moi here and bring him way down here, make him feel like that 5-year-old watching Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers back in 1995.
No
Yep,
way.
like that's how good your storytelling is. Like when I see when you and is it Sicily, Cecilia, like how
Cicely. Mm-hmm.
Sicily, but like the dialogue that you have, it was just it was so genuine, so beautiful, so pure, so it felt real. It felt like you weren't even reading a script.
Wow.
It felt like authentic. It felt like you guys were actually having like a true conversation.
Well, then we did something right that day because that's what they were looking for.
So
And then that was some good script writing too. So kudos to the writers at the time. Well, that's great. That's great, Petey. And
and I'm gonna say this too. 5-year-old me said we could all use a friend like young Tanya. I still stand by that statement at 34 years old.
I appreciate that. You guys are the best. The
Hmm.
best.
You rule.
That's the true loyalty of being a fan.
I'm gonna send you a link when this is done. I'm actually gonna try to get this up right away. This interview, Miss Davis.
Okay.
Before we do, I'm just going to do what we feel like you deserve this, and that is thank you, Lasean. Thank you,
Thank
Lasean.
you, Lasean.
Sean?
Thank you, Lasean.
Lasean.
You have a wonderful night, Miss Davis. I'm gonna send you a copy of this interview as soon as it's up.
You guys see my heart? For all of you.
See ya.
I appreciate it.
Have a
See ya.
Thanks, guys.
Take care, everybody.
You're welcome.
Thank you for
Thank you.
thank